COVID-19 is a disease that is caused by a virus called the coronavirus. The name COVID-19 itself means coronavirus disease 2019 because it was discovered in December in 2019. The disease was first discovered in a city called Wuhan in China. The COVID-19 virus is a new one, meaning that it is the first time it is being seen, and this is the first time it is causing disease in human beings. It is a virus that is said to be seen in bats and now has been able to transmit its disease into human beings. The disease is basically one that affects the respiratory system. It basically goes to affect the lungs. The most common symptoms that the COVID-19 is associated with are cough, sore throat, difficulty in breathing. These are the three commonest symptoms that patients with coronavirus have. But you also have other symptoms that include loose watery stools, fever. Fever is also a very important symptom. Sometimes you have loss of appetite and then change, or you are not able to smell anymore, and then body weakness and body aches. People come up with different symptoms. But in 80% of cases, the disease takes a mild or moderate course. But in the remaining 20%, you can have severe symptoms, and ultimately, in a very small percentage, leads to respiratory distress or difficulty that can eventually lead to death. People who are affected by this virus can have it on their hands, and when they touch any surfaces, these viruses are transmitted to these surfaces, especially things like door handles, tables, any household surfaces that are being touched by the infected person can leave the viruses there. So an individual who is not infected comes in contact with those surfaces that have that virus, can now get infected by the virus. So now the disease, like I said earlier, runs a very mild or moderate course in majority of patients who are infected. However, there are a group of patients who are more susceptible to the severe forms of the disease. This includes the elderly, young children, and also people who have comorbid conditions. When we say comorbid conditions, we mean people who have some other illnesses, most especially people who have diabetes, asthma, people who have cancer, and people who have diseases that cause their immunity to be reduced, such as people with kidney diseases and HIV. Now, for this group of patients, when and if they do get the infection, the severity, the course of the disease is very severe in them, and they're the ones that are likely to have the severe forms that can lead to death. Now, the major strategies that are involved in preventing COVID-19 are about 3 or 4 major ones. The first one is hand washing constantly. And this hand washing should be done with soap and water, any kind of soap, whatever soap it is, as long as it lathers and it foams. You use it to wash your hands regularly. Hand washing should occur for at least 20 seconds. The second thing is to practice etiquette when coughing and sneezing. It is recommended that a person who has cough or sneezes should use a tissue rather than use his or her hands to stop the droplets from going out. So when you cough and you sneeze, the tissue should go across your face and your nose and your mouth, and you cough or sneeze within that tissue and immediately throw it away. Do not reuse that tissue, and you go and wash your hands. Now, in the absence of soap and water, you can use a hand sanitizer which contains about 60% of alcohol. Now, the other thing you can do is, if you don't have tissue, to cough or sneeze in your elbow. So for example, you are going to cough or sneeze, you cough because that way you do not get the virus into your hands. Now, if I'm wearing a short-sleeved dress and it is my skin that is out, then I should cough in my shoulder, like this. That's the case for etiquette for coughing and sneezing. The third thing is social distancing. This is a term that is used in public health to say, to show how people need to stay away from each other, and so you need to stay at least 2 meters away from each other. And that is what it's called social distancing. This is a summary of what the COVID-19 infection is. At least in our lifetime, in my lifetime, There has never been anything like this with this kind of magnitude. 20th of April, it has affected over 2 million people. Over 150,000 people have lost their lives. Here in Nigeria, the cases are increasing. The best way in which this disease can be dealt with is by us taking responsibility, because COVID-19 for now does not have a cure. The hope for it is for us to develop a vaccine and so that everybody can be vaccinated. However, there is no vaccine present right now, and it's going to take at least 18 months for a new vaccine against COVID-19 to be developed. So the responsibility is on all of us to protect ourselves and our families. The governments around the world have all come out together with the WHO on recommendations on what we all need to do. Please take responsibility. We all need to stay in our houses, because when we stay in our houses, the virus does not have a host to fall into to continue to infect people. Please protect yourself, your families, and your communities at large. The virus is real and it is fast spreading. So please be the responsible citizen that you are and obey the recommendations that have been given. Thank you for listening.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khatim al-anbiya wa imam al-mursaleen. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon the seal of the prophets and the leader of the messengers, ar-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een, and upon his household and entire companions. Dear viewers, I greet you all with the best of greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Meaning, may the peace, blessings and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you all. You're welcome to another edition of the program Ask Salam, coming to you live from the Salam TV studios in Abuja. Today, the 25th day in the month of Ramadan and the 26th night of Ramadan. This is one of the nights that we seek for, the night of majesty, within the last 10 days of Ramadan. The nights also precisely are the odd nights. However, again, as I mentioned during the previous episodes, it is required and it is highly recommended that we all spend the last 10 days or the nights of the last 10 days in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hoping to earn his reward and also hoping to be amongst those whom he would forgive and salvage from the fire in this blessed month. And so for that reason, for anyone who wants to experience the night of majesty, to be amongst the fortunate ones that experiences the night of majesty, then they should make the effort to preserve acts of worship within the nights of the last 10 days, hoping to earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reward. And remember that the best of deeds are always those that end well. It's not about how you start in Islam, but how you end as well, which is also very important. So within these last days, and as Ramadan is saying farewell to us, let us make the effort to increase in our acts of worship, to increase in those things that will bring us the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will bring us closer to him, and ultimately to enable us be amongst his servants who would enter into his paradise by his mercy. Allahumma ameen. Unfortunately, on today's edition of the program, we are streaming virtually, so we're streaming live on YouTube. For the meantime, there is a bit of a technical glitch, so for some who might be able to call in on the other networks or the other platform that this is shown on. We do sincerely apologize that they would not be able to begin watching now, and they can connect inshallah thereafter, and we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy. However, for those who are watching your streaming live, or you're watching via Facebook or via any other platform, social media platform out there, you can still call in the numbers to participate or partake in this program inshallah for today. And you can also send in your questions virtually as well. You can type your questions and send them in, although the calls would be better because with the calls we're able to track the conversations, unlike when it would be read out and not a lot of people can hear the question itself unless repeated by myself. So we ask that a lot of those who are watching now, if you can call in, do endeavor to call in. The numbers to call are stated below inshallah, and you can participate in today's edition of the program bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. We can start with a few questions though, or we will start with a few questions though that were brought up yesterday regarding zakat, and also regarding the one who visits a herbalist. Now I wanted to clarify first on the issue of the herbalist and the one who goes to see a herbalist whom maybe when they are sick or they need some drugs, or they need something because of one aspect of life or the other, and they go to a herbalist. That is this permissible? Now I try to define the herbalist really so that we understand it better, and we differentiate between who is called a herbalist and then who is called a soothsayer, or one who basically concocts all forms of things that have no basis in Islam, but they call them herbs and they give to others. Now, if the herbalist is one that is preparing herbs or preparing a drug that is from herbs that are prescribed, for example, prophetic herbs, tib an-nabawiyya, prophetic medicine, herbs that are preferred by the Prophet ﷺ to treat certain ailments. And these are herbs that are very useful, like the sidr leaves. The sidr leaves are very important, they are very good, they are very useful. You have the habbatu soda, the grains or the powdered form. These are also herbs as well, and numerous other herbs that the Prophet ﷺ had admonished for anyone who has a certain type of ailment, had admonished that they make use of in order for them to gain some health, or gain their health back, if that is the herb that is being described, and this is who the herbalist is in terms of these prophetic drugs or prophetic leaves and plants which are good for one to consume and take, then this is fine, this is okay. This particular kind of herbalist is one that one can visit or go to and also get the requisite medicine for whatever ailment that they might have, which can be treated by these particular herbs. However, if a person finds themselves in a situation where they are taken or being taken to someone who claims, in quote, to be a herbalist or someone to be a spiritual person, and when you get there, you discover that this person is involved in shirk, basically. And they're involved in shirk, they apply shirk in whatever they do, and with the use of shirk, they try to produce drugs, concoct drugs, and then they do some incantations which are completely outside Islam, and they conjure a jinn or something like this in order to give some form of benefit to whoever it is that has come to seek for such things. Then this in itself is completely prohibited. قطعا, يعني completely prohibited. It is not accepted in any way or by any form. This is the one I described as being the soothsayer or the boka or the babalawo. And basically the babalawo is those whom you would see them, the synonymous things like things of shrine. You see shrines there, you see things that describe or depict some level of, or a great level of shirk, where they even call on the names of others than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They tell you that, oh, this and that person or this and that being is going to come to your assistance aside from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these things that are stated are all prohibited in Islam. Haramun قطعا. We have our first caller on the line, I believe. Okay, طيب. There is a question that has come through, and this has come through via the social media platform. And the person is asking, who are the 7 who are in the shade, or who will be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day when there is no shade except for His shade? This is in accordance with the hadith, a well-known hadith, mashhur, that is a famous hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, سَبْعَةٌ فِي ظِلَالِ الْعَرْشِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلُّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. That there are 7 who are in the shade of Allah on the day there is no shade except for His shade. The very first of them, Al-Amir Al-Adil, a just leader, a just leader. Not a ruler now, but a just leader, someone who leads his people in a manner that is just and upright. This is number 1, the first person that would be placed on the, or that would be placed in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of resurrection when there is no shade except for His shade. So awalan is the just leader, the first being the just leader. The second, a man, a young man, or a man whom remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often, and he remembers Him so well, فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ, that he begins to shed tears out of remembrance of Allah. You know, when you sit and you think of all of the bounties of Allah upon you, and you remember who you were before, and you realize, or you remember, or you tell yourself that you know you couldn't have gotten to the position you are in if not because Allah wanted you to get to that position. He blessed you with the opportunity to gain knowledge, and the opportunity to work, and the opportunity to earn, and gradually He elevated you, or has elevated you from where you were once in your life at a stage or a low stage to where you have gotten to now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know for certain that none could have given you this except Allah. And then you remember Him. Or you find yourself in another state. Maybe it might not be with wealth, there is something else. Maybe even in an adverse situation where you are not even with so much in terms of wealth, but you are content in your heart. And you remember Allah till your eyes begin to shed tears. You become one of those who are also in the shade of Allah on this day. The third is the man whom a woman, a beautiful woman, da'a imra, a woman calls him to perform zina with her, and then he says, inni akhafullah, that verily I am afraid of Allah, I will not perform zina with you. This man would also be amongst those who will be in the shade of Allah. So this is number 3. Number 4, and this also applies male and female. It's not just the male now, but the male and female who exhibit these qualities, they would have that opportunity to be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, or they will fall amongst the 7 categories of those who will be in the shade of Allah on the day of resurrection. The 4th is a man who gives sadaqah to such a degree that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is given. Meaning he gives his charity so much, and he does it for the sake of Allah alone. He doesn't want anyone to know, so he gives it with that right hand, and nobody knows until, even after he has done it. It's only going to be a charity between himself and Allah Azza wa Jal. This is one of the best types of charities where your charity is hidden. And this, reminds me of something that happened that I want to describe to everyone, where a man went to a masjid to give sadaqah, to give charity. And the charity he was to give was a brand new car. He bought a car and he was going to donate the car to the masjid. This is actually a masjid where I know of, and I used to observe my salah in this masjid. I used to also give the khutbah translation in this masjid as well, and sometimes also give talks and lessons in the masjid. Now, the man gives a donation of a car, and with this donation of the car that he gave, when he was going to give the donation to the masjid, he found one of the men who were around who was actually blind, and he was one of those who used to seek for alms. He used to seek for donations from others. So the man gave the key to the car to this blind man and asked the blind man to take the key and present it to the masjid committee, or present it in the masjid that a donation had been given of the car. And so this blind man goes, and he also took some money and gave to the man as well. I've forgotten how much, but it was quite a large amount. And this man goes and gives the key, and in the shock and bewilderment of the entire members who were so shocked to hear of such an act of charity, they asked the blind man that, did you see the man who brought this car and who gave this donation? And obviously the man is blind. Like, how can I see this man who brought this donation and gave? He didn't know it until today. As I speak to you, nobody knows who gave this car as a donation. This is the kind of charity here, where you give it to such a degree, nobody knows what you have done. It's only between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is what is meant by a person that gives sadaqah to such a degree that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand has given. So this is one of those 7 that will be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Number 5 is would be 2 friends who come together and they love one another, tahabba lillah. They love one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They meet for the sake of Allah and they depart for the sake of Allah. This is the kind of friendship that we are encouraged to have in Islam. It is the friendship that we are encouraged to have in Islam. The friendship where we don't come together for things of this dunya alone. We don't come together to talk about the frivolities of this world, forgetting that we will return to Allah, forgetting that we will be accountable to our deeds or for our deeds before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the kind of friendship that exists in such a degree that that friendship enables each party to support each other in doing what is good, this is the kind of friendship that would lead to greatness, inshallah, and lead to them also being in the shade of Allah. We have our first caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, you're welcome to the program. Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Abdullahi.
Abdullahi, and you're calling from?
Nasarawa State.
Nasarawa State, alhamdulillah. How are you watching the program, Abdullahi?
I watch it every day, but I on our TV and I did not see you.
Yes, there's a technical problem with slight technical problem with the start time, so they are not able to beam the program live. However, we are streaming it on YouTube, on Facebook, and on different other platforms, inshallah. So I'm happy that you are able to watch and still communicate or come back to join us on the program. No.
Youngsters.
Now, go ahead. You have a question for us?
No, actually, I don't have more knowledge about Islam.
Tayyib.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
And I face so many challenges. So, should I explain it to you?
Okay. Are you calling to ask a question? Do you want to ask a question or?
No, it's not a question.
It's not
just that I face so many challenges which I don't think can permit me to explain it to you.
Okay. Okay. So inshallah, I will make dua for you. We'll keep you in dua. May Allah ease all of the challenges you are facing. May He bring His aid and support to you, and may He grant you upliftment in this world and in the hereafter.
Sir?
Hello, are you there?
Are you getting me?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Not well.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. I was making dua for you. I said, whatever challenges it is that you are facing, whatever trials, Allah knows of them better than anyone. So I pray that in this month, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come to your aid. May He ease your affairs. May He forgive you your shortcomings. May He have mercy upon you. May all of the challenges and trials and difficulties that you are facing be a source of elevation and upliftment for you in this world and in the hereafter. And may Allah forgive you as well. And whatever way that this program has helped, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to make you benefit from it even better than how we had presented it. Jazakallah khairan. We have another caller on the line, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. We have another question? Okay, good, inshallah. Tayyib. Just before I go to the next question, inshallah, which is it compulsory for a woman, a female, to loosen the hair while she's taking the ghusl bath? Or before? But we have another caller. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, you're welcome to the program. MashaAllah. Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
My name is... Hello?
Hello, yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
Is this Salaam TV?
Yes, this is Ask Salam on Salam TV, yes.
Okay, I'll ask Salam. Okay, thank you. My name is Okikiola.
MashaAllah. Okikiola calling from Hong Kong?
Yeah, from Hong Kong.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
MashaAllah. It's so good to hear your voice. Okikiola calling us all the way from Hong Kong. No.
I'm watching live on Facebook.
Oh, MashaAllah.
I do, yeah. So my question is still on cards.
Okay.
So may I ask, okay, for example, I have two different scenarios. You said yesterday when you were explaining that, you said the money will have to stay for 1 year, and then when we take chicken, you can give it as zakat, or you divide it by 40. But then, and you said we must do it we must use the Islamic calendar to do it, to do the calculation. So my question is now that what if somebody doesn't know, for example, now I'm just hearing something like that for the first time, and I wish to do it, okay? Will I just start all of a sudden, or I will just wait? I will just wait till like after 1 year before I actually do it? Or how is the zakat actually? How is it actually calculated? For example, now I have a certain amount of money in my account, and every month something is increasing every month. Is it that even if the last amount was added, okay, I will still have to calculate the zakat, okay, together with the last figure, whatever in the account, and just pay 2.5%? Or will I start from the beginning, the one that has been in the account from the beginning of the first month of Islamic calendar to the 12th month, something like that? So the second question is, what if in the money in my account, okay, I have actually I have the intention to use the money. I'm saving the money in the account. I'm saving it for a particular project, kind of, okay? Like, let's say I'm leaving it there for 1 year, perhaps fixed deposit, kind of. Will I still take zakat out of the money that I have actually kept to do a certain project, something like that? So, now let me just ask this question again. I'm sorry. The last question is this. Can somebody taste the food while the serving is fasting? Just like maybe I'm cooking now, I just wanted to taste the food, whether it's salty or something like that. Is it acceptable?
Okay.
Or not fasting? Thank you very much, sir.
Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, I'll answer all three questions bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and I'll start with the last question, which is regarding the permissibility.
Okay.
Hello?
I'll watch from the distance.
Yes, you can watch it,
I'll
yes.
follow from the, thank you, sir.
All right, no problem. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. You can watch this, inshallah, for all those who, for yourself, Brother Okikiola, and all those who will be watching. So I'll start with the last question, which was, is it permissible for one to taste food while they are fasting? So for anyone who might be preparing their meal that they'll use for the iftar, and once it's about time for iftar, because you're preparing the food, you need to know, is there enough salt, is there not enough salt? And so you taste the food. Is this permissible? Yes, it is. It is very permissible for one to taste the food while they are fasting. And whether male or female, so long as you are the one preparing the food, you taste the food in order to know what it tastes like and whether the food would be good, then this is permissible for one to do and it would not break your fast. However, what would break your fast is if from tasting the food, you keep tasting and then you take one full spoon and decide to swallow that spoon and say, I need to taste it and know better. Once you've swallowed and taken food into your stomach, you have broken your fast. And that is not tasting in this regard. This has even gone beyond tasting. However, tasting because you use the tip of your tongue to taste the food, this is very permissible. Now regarding zakat, how do we pay zakat in Islam? Again, as I stated, zakat is 2.5% or 1/40 of what one has saved for a 1-year period. If you have money that you have saved for a 1-year period and you use the Islamic calendar, now it is best to use the Islamic calendar to give out the zakat, whether you are using Muharram or you are using Ramadan. So if you start giving Ramadan, you do Ramadan this year, next year you also give out zakat, but you give out the zakat in the month of Ramadan. If that is easiest for you, because a lot of people, in order to keep track of when they give out their zakat, they would always use Ramadan, and also looking at the benefits of the month of Ramadan as well. This is very permissible. If a person, however, has been giving out their zakat before, and they gave out the zakat not in the Islamic month, but they used the Gregorian months, does this invalidate it? Does this mean that they haven't done zakat because they gave out the zakat not knowing that they could have done it in the month of Islam? This does not invalidate the zakat you have given. However, it is preferred for you to give out zakat in the month of, or using the Islamic months, which are Muharram all the way to Dhul Hijjah. And it is 2.5% or 1/40 of what you have saved in your account from the nisab and above. So from 1.1 million and above, if you have saved this money for 1 year, it has remained in your account as a savings, or you just kept it in your account without touching it, while you might have had another account where as monies come in, you make use of that money and it is an operational expense for you. You have your savings on one side, and then you have the monies that are like operational expenses, which you use to cater to anything that you require. If you have saved that money for 1 year, you take out zakat on the savings, while you do not touch your operational fund, because it's money that constantly comes and goes, which you would use in catering for yourself, for your family, maybe paying for house rent, buying food items, transportation, and things like this. Now, what of the case where a person might have begun saving from Ramadan this year, for example, and every month he gets a salary at the end of the month, he puts some money into that amount. So let's say, for example, you had 2 million naira in your account this year Ramadan, right, and from this month. And then the following Ramadan, which you are supposed to give out your zakat, every month you are taking out from your salary 20,000 and putting to that 200 to that 2 million. Now, if you are taking 20,000 or 50,000 or 200,000, for example, every month to put in that money, from that 200,000 or 20,000 or 60,000, you calculate the amount it would and what it would come to at the end of the year saved in your account. You add that to the money that already exists and you take out the zakat on that money, because it is all savings that goes and that increases, and as it increases, it also means the zakat that you would give out would also increase, and that is the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you. Remember, zakat is not a thing we should see as a burden, but it is a beautiful means that Allah has set for the ummah to help in empowering the ummah and also purifying the wealth of the one that gives it, because the one that gives zakat will surely earn more blessings in their wealth. Anyone that you want to see Allah has blessed their wealth immensely, trace back their wealth and trace back how they made it and how Allah increased it for them. They gave out the zakat. So the zakat itself is a means of purification of the wealth, and that's why Allah says, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُكُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. And take from their wealth, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the compulsory sadaqah, and that is zakat. Take out of that wealth from them in order that it purifies their wealth and it also purifies them as well. Once you do this, it's a purification for both the wealth and the human being or the self as well. So it's simply, this is what you do. So if, like the example I'm giving, you save 200,000 every month on top of the 2 million you have in a saving somewhere, and at the following year of next year's Ramadan, it goes up to 3.2 million naira. With all the savings you've had, you take out the 2.5% on 3.2 million, and not just the 2 million that you had previously. This is how you would give out the zakat. This is the best of ways, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We'll take a quick break, inshallah, and when we return, I will complete the total number of those, that's from the first question we took, the number of those that are in the shade of Allah, the 7 category of those in the shade of Allah. On the day there is no shade except for His shade. So keep watching, inshallah. Don't tune off and don't change, and we will be right back, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
COVID-19 is a disease that is caused by a virus called the coronavirus. The name COVID-19 itself means coronavirus disease 2019, because it was discovered in December in 2019. The disease was first discovered in a city called Wuhan in China. The COVID-19 virus is a new one, meaning that it is the first time it is being seen, and this is the first time it is causing disease in human beings. It is a virus that is said to be seen in bats and now has been able to transmit its disease into human beings. The disease is basically one that affects the respiratory system. It basically goes to affect the lungs. The most common symptoms that the COVID-19 is associated with are cough, sore throat, difficulty in breathing. These are the 3 commonest symptoms that patients with coronavirus have. But you also have other symptoms that include loose watery stools, fever. Fever is also a very important symptom. Sometimes you have loss of appetite and then change, or you are not able to smell anymore, and then body weakness and body aches. People come up with different symptoms. But in 80% of cases, the disease takes a mild or moderate course. But in the remaining 20%, you can have severe symptoms, and ultimately, in a very small percentage, leads to respiratory distress or difficulty that can eventually lead to death. People who are affected by this virus can have it on their hands, and when they touch any surfaces, these viruses are transmitted to these surfaces, especially things like door handles, tables, any household surfaces that are being touched by the infected person can leave the viruses there. So an individual who is not infected comes in contact with those surfaces that have that virus, can now get infected by the virus. So now the disease, like I said earlier, runs a very mild or moderate course in majority of patients who are infected. However, there are a group of patients who are more susceptible to the severe forms of the disease. This includes the elderly, young children, and also people who have comorbid conditions. When we say comorbid conditions, we mean people who have some other illnesses, most especially people who have diabetes, asthma, people who have cancer, and people who have diseases that cause their immunity to be reduced, such as people with kidney diseases and HIV. Now, for this group of patients, when and if they do get the infection, the severity, the course of the disease is very severe in them, and they're the ones that are likely to have the severe forms that can lead to death. Now, the major strategies that are involved in preventing COVID-19 are about 3 or 4 major ones. The first one is hand washing constantly. And this hand washing should be done with soap and water, any kind of soap, whatever soap it is, as long as it lathers and it foams. You use it to wash your hands regularly. Hand washing should occur for at least 20 seconds. The second thing is to practice etiquette when coughing and sneezing. It is recommended that a person who has cough or sneezes should use a tissue rather than use his or her hands to stop the droplets from going out. So when you cough and you sneeze, the tissue should go across your face and your nose and your mouth, and you cough or sneeze within that tissue and immediately throw it away. Do not reuse that tissue, and you go and wash your hands. Now, in the absence of soap and water, you can use a hand sanitizer which contains about 60% of alcohol. Now, the other thing you can do is, if you don't have tissue, to cough or sneeze in your elbow. So for example, you are going to cough or sneeze, you cough because that way you do not get the virus into your hands. Now, if I'm wearing a short-sleeved dress and it is my skin that is out, then I should cough in my shoulder, like this. That's the case for etiquette for coughing and sneezing. The third thing is social distancing. This is a term that is used in public health to say, to show how people need to stay away from each other, and so you need to stay at least 2 meters away from each other, and that is what it's called, social distancing. This is a summary of what the COVID-19 infection is. At least in our lifetime, in my lifetime, there has never been anything like this with this kind of magnitude. 20th of April, it has affected over 2 million people. Over 150,000 people have lost their lives. Here in Nigeria, the cases are increasing. The best way in which this disease can be dealt with is by us taking responsibility, because COVID-19 for now does not have a cure. The hope for it is for us to develop a vaccine, and so that everybody can be vaccinated. However, there is no vaccine present right now, and it's going to take at least 18 months for a new vaccine against COVID-19 to be developed. So the responsibility is on all of us to protect ourselves and our families. The governments around the world have all come out together with the WHO on recommendations on what we all need to do. Please take responsibility. We all need to stay in our houses, because when we stay in our houses, the virus does not have a host to fall into to continue to infect people. Please protect yourself, your families, and your communities at large. The virus is real and it is fast spreading. So please be the responsible citizen that you are and obey the recommendations that have been given. Thank you for listening.
Wa barakatuhu. You're welcome back to the program Ask Salam, coming to you live from the Salam TV studios in Abuja. Alhamdulillah, we give all praise and thanks to Allah. Today, the 25th day in the month of Ramadan and the 26th night as well. Alhamdulillah, we have reached this night with ease. May Allah accept from us all of our acts of worship. May He forgive us all our shortcomings, and may He grant us all the means to earn His mercy and earn His salvation Yawm al-Qiyamah. And as we seek for the night of majesty, may Allah count us amongst those who will witness this night, who will experience this night, and who will call on to Him in this night. And may He hear our call, and may He accept it from us as well. Don't forget to make the dua, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. That, oh Allah, you are the pardoner, and you love to pardon, so pardon me of my sins. These are the du'as to make in the blessed month of Ramadan. I pray that in these last 10 nights, 10 days of Ramadan, especially for the night of majesty, I pray that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us our deeds, may He accept our du'as, may He count us amongst those who have been salvaged as well. Just before we went on the break, and I was trying to describe the 7 who would be in the shade of Allah on the day there is no shade except for His shade. according to the hadith of our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the first of them I mentioned was Al-Amir Al-Adil. That is the just Amir, the upright leader, the upright and just leader. The second is a man who remembers Allah to the degree that he begins to shed tears. The third is a man whom a very beautiful woman calls him to perform zina with her, and he says, Inni akhafullah. Verily, I am afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm conscious of Him, so I will not, perform this act. The fourth is a man whose heart is attached to the masjid. The fourth is a man who gives out charity to such a degree that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand has given. The fifth are two men who meet and love each other for the sake of Allah. Their friendship is for the sake of Allah. So this still depicts friendship in Islam and how two friends can also earn each other Jannah. Just as spouses can support each other as well to earn Jannah. But in this regard, it's referring to two friends that tahabba lillah. They love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They meet for His sake and they depart from one another for His sake. So this is the fifth. The sixth is a man whose heart is attached to the masjid. The heart of the man is attached to the masjid. That anything they do in terms of their lives, in terms of their schedule, they schedule it around observing salah in the masjid. When it's time for the prayer, they hear Hayya ala salah, come to success. Hayya ala falah, or come to salah, come to success. We have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
My name is Mutiat calling from Port Harcourt.
Mutiat calling us from Port Harcourt. Okay. How are you watching the program, Mutiat?
I'm watching it through Facebook.
Oh, via Facebook. Okay, very good. Please go ahead with your question.
My question is this. I want to know how I can have more knowledge and understanding about Islam.
Allahu Akbar. Well, first I'll pray for you, Mr.
Secondly,
okay, two questions. Okay, go ahead.
I want to know if one can name a child starting with Ad.
If you can name a child.
Starting with Ad. A-L.
Starting with Al.
Yes.
Okay, Al. Okay, I'll answer that, inshallah. Barakallahu fiki. Now, the first question which has been asked by Sister Mutiat, and just before this, the seventh person in the shade of Allah, I've mentioned six now, the sixth person being the one whose heart is attached to the masjid. The seventh person is the one whom, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grooms them, they grow in the knowledge and obedience of Allah from young till old. Ashabun nasha'a fi ta'atillah. A young person that is raised in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani, they are raised to obey Allah, to worship Allah. So from young, they are accustomed to observing 5 daily prayers, to fasting in Ramadan, to reciting the Quran, to learning the Quran and implementing the teachings of the Quran in their lives. These are the ways that, these are the seven that are placed in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of resurrection. Now the next question from Sister Mutiat, how does one gain knowledge in Islam? Alhamdulillah, the first and foremost thing I would make dua for you, O sister, and for everyone that is watching. May Allah bless you and bless us all with ilman nafi'ah, with beneficial knowledge. May Allah bless us all with beneficial knowledge. The knowledge that will make us worship Him in the best of ways in this world, that will earn us His pleasure also in the hereafter. Knowledge is a great thing in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely makes easy the path to Jannah for the one who is on the path seeking for knowledge. Now, if one is on the path seeking for knowledge, Allah Azza wa Jal makes easy for them the path to gain His paradise and also gain His mercy as well. And the angels lower their wings of mercy for the one who is on the path of knowledge. How do you take the path of knowledge? The first and most important is to make the intention for why you want to gain knowledge. So why do you want to know, or why do you want to have the knowledge you want to have? Is it so that you impress others? Is it so that you can quarrel with others? Or do you want to have the knowledge so that you can worship Allah better? so that you can be closer to Allah, so that Allah can love you and you can grow to love Allah as well. Because the one who has knowledge of Allah is the one that is most mindful and fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who can imagine the magnificence of Allah. When you look at our world and you look at our creation and you look at the creation of the entire universe, you look at how we are today in this world and look at the sun. Can you imagine the sun? Just looking at the sun, how big and magnificent it is. Even though it is far from us, it is so big that it is said if you take our world, that is the earth, our own world, if you take it and you place it in the sun, you have to place it 1.3 million times just to get the size of the sun. Just the sun alone, 1.3 million times of our world is how you will get the sun. And then in this sun that is just in one galaxy, right? This is a galaxy they call Andromeda or the Milky Way. We are in one galaxy. Put all of that together that has billions of kilometers around it, we have not reached the first heaven. This is just the first heaven. And you put all of this together, it is nothing compared to the kursi of Allah. And above the kursi is the arsh of Allah. When you start knowing all of these things, it makes you see the magnificence of Allah, the mercy of Allah, the might and power of Allah. And this is where you will worship Allah to such a level that whenever you stand and you are observing salah or you are doing an act of worship, people will see you and say, but why don't you get tired? Why don't you stop? They don't realize that the only reason you're doing what you're doing is because you want to earn Allah's pleasure. And this only comes through knowledge. If you don't know, you can't worship Allah. And that's why Allah states, "Ta'rifuni qabla an ta'budun," that know me before you worship me. And for us to know Allah, we have to read about Allah. So reading is one of the best ways. Now, the second thing I was going to say in terms of when you want to seek for knowledge, read. Get the right books to read also. Don't just read every book here and there. There are some books that if you read will just completely stray you or make you stray from Islam because they do not contain information that is true about Islam. But read books that scholars have recommended. After you have read the Quran, recited the Quran, and you can read the Quran in a language that you know, in English language. Not so many people have picked up the Quran to read it from Fatiha to Nas. This is also a challenge as well. Read the Quran in a language that you know, and where you get to some points in the Quran you don't understand, make down notes, write down, and then ask a scholar to explain those points to you, and they will explain to you in detail, inshallah. So read the Quran from beginning to end. Also read the Quran with some commentary. There is a Quran I can recommend with commentary by Muhammad Abdullah Ali. This is one of the most popular in terms of abridged commentary, but also very good and easy for people to read. The Quran of Muhammad Abdullah Ali, one of the best copies you can have out there. Read this Quran so it increases you in your knowledge as well, and you read the English translation as well, which is very important. The one by Muhsin Khan is also very good. And also study books of hadith. You start from the smaller, easier ones, like the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi. There's the popular Arba'una hadith, 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi. Study this book and also, make an effort to join an Islamic school. You might have an Islamia in your area. If you don't have one, alhamdulillah, today by the help of Allah and with the internet, you can go online and study Islam from online accredited sources, right? Online accredited sources to learn Islam. You have sources like the Islamic Online University. You can register. They even do their courses or some of their courses for free. You can register on the Islamic Online University in order to learn and in order to practice your faith in the best of ways as well. You must make an effort. It is not easy because sometimes when you start the journey to knowledge, Shaitan will always try to come left, right, and center to distract you, to take you away from seeking for knowledge to the degree that all that matters to you are only the things of this world. But you have to make a concerted effort to seek for knowledge and remain on the path of seeking for knowledge. And the second question is, can a person name their children with Al? For example, you say Al-Jabbar, Al-Rahman, Al-Quddus, As-Salam. Is it permissible for one to name their child like this with Al in front of this when it comes to like I've given the examples with the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal? This is not permissible. Al is referred to Allah, the, because what al means in Arabic is a ma'rifah. Ma'rifah for a particular word meaning the. So when you say the, Ar-Rahman, for example, is the most compassionate. Al-Aziz, the Almighty. Al-Azim, the exalted one. Al-Mutakabbir, Al-Jabbar. These are all names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you will name your child after this, you have to say Abdul, that is the servant of Abdul Malik, or Abdul Jabbar, or Abdur Rahman, or Abdur Rahim, and names like this. This is how you name the child. And you can't call your child Al-Hijr, right? That is the stone. There is no need to give your child this. So give your child a name that has a good meaning. Al is not a meaning that you can add to the name of a child, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. We've come to the end of today's edition of the program, sadly, and unfortunately for so many who are not able to watch us today, we do sincerely apologize. Due to the technical issues that came up on the Star Times, we were unable to beam to you all. However, for those who are fortunate to watch via social media, via YouTube and Facebook and other platforms as well, please continue to watch and continue to share. And we thank you all for being able to stay tuned with us on today's edition of the program. Continue to also support Salaam TV to continue such broadcasts like this that would help and enrich the knowledge of the believers. Again, knowledge being so important in Islam, one should learn from sources that are good, and one should also work hard to promote such sources so that we all get to learn together and we all get to be salvaged as well from the fire together. May Allah protect us all and salvage us all. So continue to support this channel. Support us with your du'as, which are extremely important, and support us as well with your donations, inshallah, because those donations will go to a greater cause of making sure this channel reaches far and wide to far greater numbers than we had ever imagined. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. May Allah accept it from you and I. May He forgive us all our shortcomings. Aquli qawli hadha wa astaghfirullahu li wa lakum. Inshallah, till I come your way again, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, tomorrow, I leave you all with salam from Salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.